is an animal. Now this is a farm. Animal farm. I like the sound of that.
Get out of my recording booth! Anyways, so, Animal Farm. Napoleon was really stinky. But how stinky was he? Was he responsible for betraying the revolution? Stay tuned.
Welcome to the end.
Okay, now, the first time, or first sign of the betrayal of the revolution, which would be the original purpose of the revolution, that being freedom and equality, from unifying all animals together and breaking away from mankind.
It's me, Old Major, yo. Mankind's whack, but soon the state of England will be back. Yo, equality and stuff. And freedom, too.
Yeah, that is precisely what happened. But now that we have what the revolution means, we can move on to the first betrayal, which was when the animals agreed that the milk and apples should be for the pigs only, because they were more educated and needed to basically be pampered more. On page 36, it specifically says,
So it was agreed without further argument that the milk and the windfall apples, and also the main crop of apples when they ripen, should be reserved for the pigs alone. Copy, Mario. Orwell, page 36.
Please let me out of the basement.
that was the first instance of, the pigs becoming greedy after gaining power. The next one would be when Napoleon first reveals his secret dog police squad to chase Snowball, his political opponent, out of the animal farm. Come on, Jerry. Read it. Read it. If you read it, I'll actually feed you tonight.
He already gets fed too much.
At first, no one had believed or had even imagined where these creatures came from, or the problem was only solved. They were the puppies whom Napoleon had taken away from their mothers, and really, privately. Orwell, page 53.
What did the author mean by that? This quote demonstrates how Napoleon was super stinky with secretly making a group of goons to serve him and enforce his will. This clearly violates any chances of trying to go against Napoleon, betraying one's purpose of the revolution, being freedom.
There are bodies in my floorboards. The next quote, with Napoleon taking over and seizing the totalitarian rule against the animals, would be when Napoleon cracks down and cracks the hens from their protest to not give more of their eggs to Napoleon for trade to other farms. Napoleon acted swiftly and ruthlessly. He ordered the hens' rations to be stopped and decreed that any animal giving so much as a grain of corn to the hen should be punished by death. Orwell, page 76.
Not only do the pigs or Napoleon specifically use methods of direct violence or oppression, but they use propaganda, and more so manipulating information. How do they manipulate information? They do it by specifically changing their laws instead of how it is usually seen, like when commercials or news or videos.
When Squealer, who usually spews propaganda, or is the one manipulating information for Napoleon, explains to the other animals after Snowball's expulsion from the farm, he says to the pigs, quote, "That was our mistake, comrade, for we know now it is all written down in secret documents that we have found, that in reality he was trying to lure us into our doom." Orwell, page 80. Manipulation of history is how the pigs justify themselves when they have to oppress the animals or try to keep the animals loyal. No animal shall kill any other animal without cause. Somehow or other, the last two words have slipped out of the animal's memory, but they saw now the commandment had not been violated, for clearly there was a good reason for killing those traitors who had leagued themselves with Snowball. Orwell, page 91.
This would be the first time the pigs actually changed the law to fit their agenda, instead of just a historical event. It's pretty clear from this point the pigs no longer have any care for the farm, as long as it benefits them in particular. Once again, the pigs changed the law by having the commandment about alcohol going from prohibited to allowed. The animals had been influenced to think in the book. They had thought that the fifth commandment was no animal shall drink alcohol, but there were two words that they had forgotten. Actually, the commandments read, the animal shall drink alcohol to excess. OL page 109.
Did the pig sell Boxer for alcohol? What was the context for that law if Boxer was sold after?
Well, actually, Napoleon changed the law with white paint in the middle of the night. It never said why, but you could speculate that the pigs had planned for Boxer to be sold off. Which brings us to the next and final quote. But before we do, let's explain how these quotes so far demonstrate the betrayal of revolution.
It can be pretty much summarized to the pigs were gaining control with the revolution being their reason, and their education making them smarter and therefore in charge. Slowly come to devolve into tyrannical leaders themselves when they go on with betraying the revolution with taking specific items for themselves, repressing and oppressing protests from possible dissidents, meaning people who do not agree with the norm of something, so that they can keep the power.
And these quotes explain how they keep the power, which is maintaining the betrayal of the revolution, which from Old Major meant equality and freedom away from humans for the animals of England.
No one stirred in the farmhouse before noon on that following day, and the word went around that from somewhere or other the pigs had acquired the money to buy themselves another case of whiskey. Orwell, page 126.
What a bunch of commie liberals with their beer. I know my blessed American nation ain't nothing like that.
Whatever you say, champ. Whatever you say. So, in conclusion, the pigs have betrayed the revolution in many ways. Most of them was definitely trust issues and basically manipulation, which is kind of the same thing. But there's also the pigs not contributing that much to helping the animals on the farm, them being greedy and taking all the resources they can from the animals. And yeah, basically the main people, or animals should I say, that has betrayed the revolution would have to be the pigs. But if we're looking for a person to blame, blame it on Napoleon.